So, since I feel called to speak, but I'm not really sure where to begin or what needs to be said, we're just going to let Spirit guide the conversation here and see if there's something that they want me to speak on. Because why not? Hydrate and listen to your body. All right, well, this hydrate card, and I will show it to you if you can see it. There it is literally all about just staying hydrated, drinking your water, which is an excellent idea. Don't mind if I do. Although, I admit I'm usually drinking tea, but tea counts as water, right? It's green tea. I'm going to say that tea counts as water. This card also comes off to me as, it is the number 33 card, and so sometimes this card also feels to me like becoming a part of the flow, or making sure that you're internalizing the flow. When we drink water, we take it into ourselves. And so sometimes I feel like it's referring to energy flow as well, making sure that we're taking in the energy flow, staying hydrated with source energy. This other number 27 card, listen to your body. There it is. I feel like in order to really talk about listening to the body, it's useful to talk about the body and what its connection really is to us as consciousness, what the interplay is of the physical form with the non-physical form. And I feel like there's really kind of, I don't know, there's a couple of different schools of thought out there. Obviously, science thinks that consciousness is all about the body, that without the brain and the body, there would be no consciousness at all. I think sometimes on the flip side of that, it's easy in certain spiritual circles for people to get very into spirit and consciousness, like we're just spiritual beings having a physical experience. And sometimes we place a little bit too much emphasis, I think, on the ethereal and tend to write off the physical form as not really being us. We are not a reflection of our body. You know, beauty is within, all of that type of stuff. And not that there's anything wrong with the sentiment of that, but we do sometimes, when we get into more spiritual practices, tend to forget about or write off the physical body as having as much significance as the spiritual body does, the consciousness itself. I also sort of feel like it's very easy for us to set aside the fact or not think about the fact that sometimes we can have unhealthy energetic relationships with our body, or toxic energetic relationships with our body. And what I mean by that is there is a lot of, because we feel so connected to our bodies, we tend to judge ourselves by our bodies, and it can lead to a lot of disconnect or feeling uncomfortable within your own body for whatever reason that may be. It could be, feeling like you don't have the body shape you want or the body type you want. There's a lot of different things, I think, that can result from having a toxic or unhealthy energetic relationship between consciousness and its physical form. When we come into the the physical plane, much of our genetic structure or the physical makeup of what our form will be is sort of preconceived by us before arrival. We choose our parents, the genetic structure. We have an idea of the physical form that we're going for when we come into physical form. So the bodies that we inhabit are literally of us, by us, and for us, in order to best facilitate the kind of experience that our soul or our personality construct is hoping to have on this physical path. And our bodies are not innate objects. It's not just a meat suit that we're wearing in order to experience things through. The physical form is in and of itself a complex consciousness structure. Every part of it knows what it is and what its function is and how to interact and cooperate with the rest of the system. So the atoms that make up a cell, that makes up a part of your liver. It knows both what it is as a cell and also how to cooperate as a part of the liver. And then the liver, as part of the system, knows how to cooperate with the rest of the body. It's always communicating within the system with itself. And it's always communicating and giving feedback and responses to us as a consciousness. And the brain is like the translation hub between stimulus and understanding. It takes what we're wanting to do and gives that to the body in the form of physical motion, and it takes all of the stimulus that's being received by the physical form and translate it back into an understandable experience for us. It really is a fully integrated portion of our consciousness. It is both highly communicative with us about what's going on, and it is especially highly sensitive to what we are giving it as input and information and directions. Energetically speaking, it's a completely symbiotic system relationship between consciousness and the physical form that it is operating through. Our bodies are incredibly good at communicating with us when there is something that is off about our vibration or our energy. A lot of the time that will manifest for us in a whole number of ways. It can manifest as aches and pains, as illnesses. It can manifest as feeling tired or feeling especially exuberant. The body responds both to our needs and also communicates back to us what it needs, or gives us critical information about where we may have energies that are at a blockage or a cross energies. Now, I'll use myself as a couple of examples of what can happen. When I was very young in life, I was very much a tomboy, very much like wanted to be out rough and tumbling, doing all that kind of stuff. My favorite thing in the world was Top Gun, and I wanted to be a fighter pilot. I was like, Tom Cruise ain't got nothing on me. I'm gonna show them all. I was super excited about it until I was informed at that time that they don't let women be fighter pilots. And then I decided I wanted to be an astronaut, because what's cooler than flying a fighter jet is going to space, right? And then they told me that the pilot program for the space shuttle usually comes from the Air Force. And I was like, okay, great. Most of what I wanted to do got shut down at a very early age because of my gender. And I hadn't realized growing up how that had sort of crushed my dreams a little early in life and had made me a little bit bitter energetically about being a woman in the world. And it wasn't long before I ended up with cervical problems, reproductive issues, all of those types of things had started to crop up. And I hadn't realized how my own distaste for being born a woman in the world at the time had started to affect how I felt about my body, and my body had taken on that energy from me and had been helping to show me where I had unhealed energies about myself. In fact, I've contemplated before whether or not the reason maybe we see so much reproductive health issues in women, things like breast cancer, cervical cancer, like ovarian cysts, all those kinds of things that can crop up, isn't maybe because of how common the experience is of women in the world. So the body is very good at pointing out to us when we have unhealed aspects. Another thing that can happen is when we have cross energies, when our beliefs are not in alignment with our actions and things are blocked up. There's opposing energies that can also sometimes manifest. To use another example, I went through a phase where, through my contemplations, I was not at all pleased with how humanity treats its fellow consciousness on the planet. I was not at all pleased with how animals were being treated in the food service industry. I was not at all pleased with the notion of eating and absorbing that energy. I was contemplating a lot of things along those lines. And it wasn't long before I started to feel sick when I was eating things that were animal-based products. So suddenly I was lactose intolerant. Suddenly eating red meat made me feel yucky. It was too heavy on my stomach and it was just making me feel sick. And for a while, I actually went vegan for a time because I felt like maybe I'm just, not meant to be eating meat. But then I realized that really my belief structure and my actions were just not in alignment. So one of the ways to fix that was to be vegan, right? And just to get my actions in alignment with my beliefs. But another thing that we can do if you didn't want to go that route is to actually correct the belief structure so that it's in alignment with your actions. So to find a different way of thinking about the food industry, or find a different way of thinking about it that actually corrects the belief to be in alignment with the action that you're wanting. Because frankly, I really like ice cream. But that's a completely individual choice for the individual. But that information, my body's feedback, was telling me that there was a problem with the energy. So either the action needed to be corrected or the belief needed to be corrected. The body can also alert us sometimes to when we are falling into old patterns or old energy cycles. One of the things that happens is when we are feeling uninspired or disengaged from activities, then the mental algorithm will start to pull up old thought processes, old patterns, trying to re-engage us with our own thoughts and our own imagination. And sometimes those cycles can be unhelpful. And so if we aren't picking up on that just from the thought processes that are creeping up, sometimes the body can alert us to things like that. Have you ever quit a bad habit that you had, like maybe drinking too much or smoking, and suddenly felt the urge to go buy a pack of cigarettes or go pick up a case of beer? Sometimes when we have old habits or old cravings crop up, it can alert us to when there is an old thought pattern or an old cycle of energy that has been resurfacing for us. So with this hydrate and this listen to your body card, I feel like it's pretty clear that there's a message coming through for somebody about needing to take care of ourselves and listen to what our body is trying to tell us at the moment. So I'm just going to go ahead and use this is just a deck of words that I wrote out on cards, and see if there's any specific information that wants to come through for an individual or give us a hint about what this is potentially about. So we've got Scorpio coming up. So it could be that this is for a Scorpio or somebody who has Scorpio placements. Maybe it is somebody who is a Scorpio in your life. But this is pretty personal and very specifically about listening to your own body and yourself. What else, my friends? Why are we talking about this today? Spring coming up. So that's usually in reference to this season. Maybe this is something that has been happening since the spring. Gemini also coming out. So we might be a Gemini or a Scorpio or have either of those placements. So maybe this is a thing that's been going on with your body since the spring. So think back to, or maybe something that cropped up in the springtime, like maybe we had a spring cold, or there was something that changed about our body in the spring. I'm also getting that the cause or the root energy may have been based on an interaction that happened in the spring, either maybe between a Scorpio and a Gemini or involving one of those signs. As always, follow your intuition and take it if it resonates for you. What else, my friends? Yes, So if that yes is for you, you know what it's a yes to. Whatever it was you were thinking or contemplating right now. I get the feeling that somebody was like, I wonder if it's this. Yes. Travel coming up. And delete. So I'm feeling like they're wanting to let you know now about this, to listen to your body and correct some energy surrounding a situation before it deletes travel, or before it inhibits forward progress. It could be literally deleting travel. Like maybe we end up like too sick to travel, something that we're traveling to. But I also get the feeling of correcting an energy situation before it inhibits forward movement. And that your body is already giving you the clues or the information you need about the situation. Is there anything else, my friends, that we want to let people know? Right. That's good advice. Writing is a really powerful tool. Doing some journaling, writing out maybe some feelings or things that have been cropping up, maybe surrounding this situation, to kind of get at the heart of the energy and see if we can't get to the bottom of what the blockage is here. Writing out our feelings is almost always a super helpful tool, because if you really relax and let yourself free write and just write whatever is actually coming out, what is coming to your mind, then when you go back and reread it, sometimes it becomes so obvious when it's on a piece of paper that it's almost, sometimes for me when I'm doing it, it's like, I can't believe that, I can't believe it wasn't obvious to me before I wrote it down. And heart coming out. So this is, it could be, that could be literally the heart. Maybe chest pains or palpitations. Anxiety sometimes causes palpitations. But you have to take it as it resonates, right? Don't take it if it's not you. We don't want to cause palpitations. But sometimes an how do I say this? An injury to the heart, an energy that is blocking the heart chakra, can manifest in that way. I've got proceed coming up as well. All right. I feel like that is the message for somebody out there. There really isn't any need to panic. I feel like you've got the situation well in hand. Because your body is already letting you know about the cross energy well before it's problematic. It feels like they don't want you to inhibit your forward momentum, your forward movement here with an old energy that doesn't need to be causing limitation. Yeah, the Page of Wands. Yep, for sure. Your body has a message for you is what it's letting me know. All right, thank you so much for for going through this with me. I've never tried to do a reading like this before, so I don't know. Let me know if you like it. Let me know if it resonated for you. Like, subscribe, all of that fun stuff, and we will be back next time I feel called to do a reading.